Oh, my friend, pull up a chair, won't you? Or maybe just sink a little deeper into that couch, wherever you are right now. I know you. I know that quiet ache in your heart, the one you don't always talk about, even to yourself. It's that deep, beautiful longing to make a difference, isn't it? To truly touch a life, almost. Maybe right now you're feeling a little weary, like your small efforts are just a handful of sand trying to hold back a relentless tide. You try, you really do. You offer a kind word, you lend an ear to a burdened soul, you reach out with a thoughtful gesture, a small act of service. But then the doubts creep in, don't they? A persistent, nagging little voice whispers, "Is it enough? Does it even matter in the grand scheme of things? Am I truly making a difference, or am I just deluding myself?" You see the big, grand gestures of charity, the powerful voices advocating for change on global platforms, and you can't help but wonder if your quiet, everyday acts of kindness even register in the vastness of human need. It's a heavy burden, isn't it? This heart that wants to give so much, to pour itself out, but sometimes feels so small, so inadequate, so easily overlooked. You might even feel a pang of guilt, thinking you should be doing more, or that your kindness isn't ministry enough, because it's not on a grand stage or doesn't involve some huge sacrifice. Perhaps you've even been told, subtly or directly, that true ministry looks a certain way, a way that feels utterly out of reach for you. But I see you, my dear friend. I see the tender mercy in your eyes, the quiet compassion that stirs within you, even when you feel like you're failing or falling short. That desire to be a blessing, to spread a little bit of God's love, to ease someone's load, that's real, and it's precious beyond measure. And you know what? That very feeling, that yearning to connect and uplift, that's precisely where true ministry often begins. It's not about the size of the act, but the size of the heart behind it, the pure intention to reflect God's love. And your heart, my friend, is immense, full of grace and potential. Don't ever doubt that for a second. We're going to talk about this, you and I. We're going to gently peel back those layers of doubt and remember the profound, life-altering power of just being kind in the smallest, most human ways.
Let me tell you, I've been there, truly. More times than I care to admit. I've sat exactly where you might be sitting now, wrestling with those very same thoughts. I remember one particular season. Oh, it feels like yesterday, even though it was years ago. The world just seemed so loud. Every news report, every social media scroll, it screamed about suffering, about injustice, about people hurting in ways I couldn't even fathom. And I was just me, living my quiet life, trying to be a good person, a good Christian, you know? I'd volunteer at the local shelter sometimes, bring food to a struggling family, or try to be present for a friend going through a tough time. But I'd always come home, usually in the late afternoon, with the sun slanting through the window just so, casting long shadows across my living room, and a hollow feeling would settle deep in my chest. It wasn't that I didn't want to help, it was that I felt so utterly insignificant. I'd look at my small kitchen, smelling faintly of the dinner I was about to cook, and then I'd think of the millions who were hungry. I'd look at my warm, safe bed, and then picture the homeless, the displaced, the lonely. And my little acts of kindness, they just seemed to shrivel in comparison, like tiny wildflowers against a raging inferno. I started to wonder if I was even making a dent. Was it all just performative? Was it just making me feel better without truly changing anything substantial for anyone else? That's when the real struggle began, my friend. It wasn't a struggle against doing good, but a struggle with the efficacy of doing good, with the belief that my limited resources, my limited time, my limited energy could ever truly make a difference that mattered to God. I started to question if I was missing the point entirely, if I was supposed to be doing something grander, something more spiritual or missionary-like. The joy that used to come from serving, from simply extending a hand, it started to dim, shadowed by this persistent sense of inadequacy. I'd pray, of course. I'd ask God to show me, to use me, but the answers felt distant,
muffled by the sheer weight of the world's need. It was a confusing, disheartening beginning to what I thought was meant to be a journey of love and service, and instead, it felt like a heavy, solitary climb up a mountain I wasn't equipped to conquer.
And it just got heavier, you know? That initial flicker of doubt, it grew into a consuming shadow. I found myself becoming almost paralyzed by the sheer enormity of it all. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying all the news headlines, all the faces of suffering I'd seen, both near and far. The silence of the night seemed to amplify my own internal questions. God, I'd whisper into the darkness, what is the point? What can I possibly do? I felt this immense pressure, almost like I was personally responsible for fixing everything, and when I couldn't, a deep sense of failure would wash over me. The joy in my small acts of kindness, it truly vanished. I'd still do them, out of habit, out of a sense of duty, but the heart wasn't really in it anymore. It felt like I was just going through the motions, ticking boxes, rather than genuinely pouring out love. The confusion was relentless. I believed in a loving God, a God who cared deeply for the poor, the sick, the marginalized, but I couldn't reconcile that with the apparent futility of my own efforts. Where was his power in my small acts? Why did I feel so utterly alone in this quest to simply be kind? It was a lonely place, my friend, feeling like you're trying to walk a path of compassion, but constantly tripping over your own perceived shortcomings. Have you ever felt that weight? That crushing sense that your best isn't good enough? That your heart, however pure its intentions, is simply too small to make a meaningful dent? It's a dark corner of the soul, isn't it? When you want to extend grace and mercy, but you yourself feel utterly devoid of it, worn thin by the seemingly endless demands. I remember praying for clarity, for a sign, for any indication that I wasn't just wasting my time, or worse, just feeling good about myself without actually impacting anyone. But the heavens felt brass, silent, and my heart grew heavy with discouragement. It was a season where the spiritual well felt dry, and the vibrant colors of faith seemed to fade into muted grays, leaving me questioning not just my own capacity for kindness, but sometimes even the very purpose of it all. And then came the breaking point. It wasn't a dramatic explosion, but a quiet, insidious surrender. I remember it so vividly. It was a particularly bleak winter afternoon, gray and damp, and I had just returned from visiting an elderly neighbor who was struggling with loneliness. I had brought her some homemade soup, sat with her for an hour, listened to her stories, and tried to offer some comfort. On the surface, it was exactly the kind of small, kind act I knew was important. But as I walked back home, the cold seeping into my bones, a profound weariness settled over me. It wasn't just physical, it was soul deep. I thought, what was the point? I talked to her today, but she'll be just as lonely tomorrow. The soup will be gone, and her troubles will still be there. It felt like I was constantly bailing water with a thimble from a sinking ship, and I was just so tired. I walked into my house, kicked off my wet shoes, and just stood there in the entryway, the silence of the empty house amplifying the emptiness I felt inside. I looked at my hands, these hands that had tried to serve, to give, to comfort, and they just felt useless. I slumped against the wall, sliding down to the floor, and for the first time, I just let go. I didn't cry loudly. It was more like a quiet internal weeping, a complete collapse of spirit. I remember whispering, I can't do this anymore, God. I just can't. I'm not strong enough. My kindness isn't enough. My love isn't enough. I'm just one person, and the world is too big, too broken, too overwhelming. It was a moment of absolute, complete surrender to my own perceived inadequacy. All the theological knowledge, all the good intentions, all the self-help advice, it all crumbled. My human strength, my human will to do good, it had utterly failed. I wasn't just discouraged, I was completely depleted, ready to give up on the whole idea of actively pursuing kindness as a ministry, convinced that I was simply not cut out for it, that I was meant for a quieter, less impactful existence. The weight of the world felt like it was literally pressing down on me,
suffocating any remaining spark of hope that my small human gestures could ever truly matter.
But you know, my friend, that's often exactly when God shows up, isn't it? When we've reached the end of ourselves, when our human strength has completely evaporated, that's when His quiet, powerful grace breaks through. I stayed there on the floor for what felt like an eternity, completely empty. And then, slowly, gently, a whisper started in my heart. It wasn't an audible voice, not a booming command, but a soft, persistent thought, like a warm current flowing through the coldness. It reminded me of a conversation I'd had with a wise mentor years ago about how God sees the heart behind the act, not just the act itself. And then, almost like a warm blanket being wrapped around my shivering soul, verses started to bubble up, not from my own memory, but as if God Himself was gently placing them there. I remembered Jesus' profound words in Matthew 25:35-40 about feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, inviting strangers in, clothing the naked, visiting the sick and imprisoned. And the astounding part, the part that hit me like a revelation, was when He said, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." It wasn't about the scale of the action, but the recipient, Jesus Himself. My small bowl of soup for my lonely neighbor, my listening ear for a friend, a cup of water offered in His name, it was all being done for Him. And then the story of the Good Samaritan from Luke 10:33-35 painted such a vivid picture. This Samaritan, a despised outsider, didn't build a hospital. He just saw a man in need, took pity, bandaged his wounds, poured on oil and wine, put him on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. He did what was immediately in front of him with what he had. That simple, tender compassion, that immediate response to a human need, was held up as the gold standard. Suddenly, the crushing weight started to lift. It wasn't about my capacity to fix the world. It was about my willingness to be a vessel for God's love in the small, everyday moments. It was about not growing weary in doing good, knowing that at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9-10. God was showing me that my small acts were not insignificant. They were sacred. He was reminding me to bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians 6:2. And to be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God in Christ forgave you. Ephesians 4:32. The focus shifted from the overwhelming magnitude of global suffering to the profound intimacy of one heart reaching out to another in His name. It was a gentle, powerful reorientation, a spiritual embrace that reminded me that even a cup of water given in His name holds eternal significance. Mark 9:41. My friend, it wasn't about being a superhero. It was about being present with love in the smallest, most human ways, because that's where Christ is found and served.
And so, my dear friend, I want to turn back to you, right now, wherever you are, and speak this truth over your beautiful, weary heart. God did it for me, and He is absolutely, unequivocally coming for you. He sees your struggles. He hears those quiet whispers of doubt, and He values every single act of kindness you've ever extended, no matter how small it felt to you. Don't you dare believe for a second that your efforts are insignificant. They are not. They are threads of gold woven into the tapestry of His kingdom, each one catching the light of His love and reflecting it into a world desperately in need. That quiet compassion that stirs within you, that urge to reach out, that gentle hand you offer, that is the very Spirit of God moving through you. You are a minister of kindness, my friend, whether you stand on a platform or simply sit with someone in their pain. God isn't looking for grand gestures that make headlines. He's looking for hearts that are willing to be kind, tender-hearted, and present, just like His own. He is reminding you today, just as He reminded me in that quiet, broken moment, that the Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all He has made. Psalm 145:9. And because you are made in His image, that same compassion resides within you, ready to be poured out. Don't grow weary in doing good, because every single act, every listening ear, every encouraging word,
every shared meal, every moment of hospitality. It resonates in the spiritual realm. It plants seeds of hope, it waters dry ground, and it reflects the very face of Christ to a hurting world. You are not alone in this, and you are not insufficient. The very fact that you care is a testament to the Spirit's work in your life. So take heart. Pick up that thimble again, if you will, and keep bailing, because you're not bailing alone. You're bailing with the God of all creation, who multiplies your efforts in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. He is reminding you that blessed is he who considers the poor. The Lord will deliver him in time of trouble. Psalm 41:1. Your kindness is not just a good deed. It is a sacred offering, a powerful act of worship, and a testament to the transformative power of God's love flowing through you. Keep showing up, keep loving, keep being kind. Your reward is not just in heaven, but in the quiet transformation you bring to lives here on earth, and in the deepening of your own heart to be more like his.
So, what's the lesson here, my friend? It's profoundly simple, yet utterly life-changing. Kindness is not just a nice gesture. It is a powerful, tangible ministry, direct from the heart of God, channeled through you. It's not about the size of the act, but the purity of the intention and the willingness to simply be present and loving. It's about remembering that when you extend a hand, offer a comforting word, share a meal, or simply sit with someone in their loneliness, you are in that moment serving Jesus himself. You are embodying the very essence of his compassion, his grace, his unwavering love. You are being his hands and feet, illuminating the path for others to see his light. And you know, even if you never see the full impact of your kindness, even if the person you help never thanks you, God sees it all. Every single drop of your compassion is collected, cherished, and used for his divine purposes. He is the one who takes your small offering and multiplies it, just like the loaves and fishes. So let go of the pressure to be perfect, to solve every problem, or to change the entire world. Just focus on the one person in front of you, the one need you can meet, the one act of kindness you can offer, right now, in this very moment. That's enough. That's more than enough. That is true ministry, my dear friend, pure and undefiled. Let's carry that truth in our hearts, gently, powerfully.
Now, let's just take a moment, shall we?
Lord, bless the person listening right now. You know their heart. You know their deepest desires to serve you, to love others, to make a difference. You also know the weariness they carry, the doubts that sometimes cloud their vision, the feeling that their efforts might be too small. Father, I pray that you would gently lift that burden from their shoulders. Remind them, Lord, with every beat of their heart, that their kindness is precious in your sight, that every small act of love, extended in your name, is a profound act of worship. Renew their spirit, Lord, fill their cup to overflowing, and ignite afresh that beautiful flame of compassion within them. Show them, in tangible ways, the impact of their quiet faithfulness. Let them feel your presence, your affirmation, and your immense love for them. Strengthen them, Lord, so they may not grow weary in doing good, but continue to sow seeds of kindness, knowing that you are the one who brings the harvest. May they be your hands, your feet, your tender heart in this world, shining your light brightly in every small, sacred interaction. In Jesus' name, amen. My friend, be honest. Have you ever been in a moment, maybe stuck in traffic on an Atlanta highway, feeling invisible in a crowded coffee shop in Portland, or just quietly struggling at home in the Midwest, where a tiny, unexpected act of kindness completely shifted your day and made you feel truly seen by God and his people? If you feel comfortable, share that moment with us. Now, let's spread that light. Look at a comment above or below yours and share a word of encouragement or a simple prayer for that person, reminding them that they are seen and loved. Be honest, my friend. We've all had those hurried moments, rushing through a supermarket aisle in Florida, or just trying to get through a long workday in Chicago, when we might have missed an opportunity to offer a small kindness. Has there ever been a time you did step out, even when it felt inconvenient, and witnessed God use that simple act to truly change someone's day, or even your own heart?
We're here for you if you feel comfortable sharing. Now, let's be the change. Read through the comments and find someone who shared something vulnerable and offer them a gentle word of prayer or support, letting them know they are not alone on this journey.